I'm Edwin Warfield. I'm the publisher of CityBiz. I'm honored today to interview Marcus Startzel, the CEO of Whitebox. Welcome, Marcus.
Welcome, Edwin. Thank you.
Your career, let's start a little bit about you were started as a submarine officer, and then you had stints at advertising.com, Millennial Media, and AppNexus. Can you provide us an overview of your career, including the decision to join Whitebox as a CEO?
Well, look, I think driving a submarine to e-commerce is quite a leap, but I think having had that background of being in the Navy and being an officer and having to learn about nuclear power and fission and all those things, I think just set me up for a very technical background, and I really approach things with an engineering mindset. And so, as it was time for me to get out of the Navy, I stumbled upon, through friends in the industry, advertising.com. And it was an amazing opportunity for me to go to a high growth, fast moving startup that, really allowed me to understand, what it takes to bring a new technology, a new offering, a new idea to market, to brands who had been at that time advertising the same way, for hundreds of years, basically. And so I think that really gave me an appetite for technology startups. And so then going to Millennial Media and helping brands understand mobile advertising, it was a great experience. I got to see that through from the early days when I joined, through the IPO and after. And then my first stint as a CEO was lucky enough to be acquired and joined AppNexus, which is an amazing enterprise technology platform, a really great product and technology company that gave me sort of this view of how product and technology and a focus on that really helps drive through that end goal for the brand. And so when the founder of Whitebox reached out to me and said, "Hey, I'd like to talk to you," and it was my time at AppNexus had come to an end, it was just a really great opportunity for me to build on what was next. Helping brands advertising, to helping brands selling things and products. It was a great natural transition, and it was a technology company with just sort of a great opportunity in a growing market. And so I just could not say no to that CEO role.
So can you tell us how Whitebox helps brands and manufacturers win more sales and reduce costs? And give us a sort of brief description of the platform.
Yeah, for sure. I think first, it's important to just think for a second about how different commerce happens today than it did, let's just call it 20 years ago. 20 years ago, if you or I wanted a bottle of ketchup, we walked into the grocery store and we bought the bottle of ketchup that the supermarket had put on the end cap, or the Heinz, because it was the only brand we knew of, or there were maybe 3 or 4 other options. The consumer had almost no choice. The ketchup that they were going to choose was already picked for them by Safeway or Kroger, and they walked out with their ketchup. Today, it's a completely different environment where the consumer has almost an endless amount of choices for that bottle of ketchup. Do they want to buy it online? Do they want to buy 2 bottles of ketchup? Do they want to buy it with mustard? And so I think understanding this fractured way that consumers are now purchasing items, having a platform like Whitebox to not only see those opportunities and create those sales opportunities that didn't exist before, but then also with its enormous logistical and fulfillment capability, save costs. It just creates a pretty compelling platform for brands.
What are some of the key, since Whitebox was launched, what are some of the key milestones?
Yeah, so I think, Whitebox was launched in 2013, and I think a lot of the milestones are based on either, technology developments, big changes in people additions, and then what I would call the fuel to build out the platform through investment. And so, when I think about the technology, in the early days, advertising and selling on Amazon was new. Sellers had to discover new changing platform all the time. And, Sean Clark, our CTO, had to build new efficient tools to try to drive even better and better performance on behalf of our customers. And so, I think the milestone there was really getting a product to market that could successfully help brands sell more items at a profit on Amazon. And from there, expanded out to eBay and Walmart and others. Another really big milestone was the opening of our own fulfillment network. And that was a milestone driven by a prior milestone, which was the joining of Rob Hahn, a longtime Amazon veteran and a leader inside that fulfillment organization, to come and build that fulfillment organization. And I think through that process created a great opportunity. And then I think as far as other milestones, we've raised 2 rounds of funding. We raised a $5 million Series A round in 2019. And last year we raised an $18 million Series B round. And both of those fuel our growth and our expansion into our current footprint in our warehouse and our fulfillment capabilities. And I think all of those are what I would consider our Whitebox milestones. And then when you look at the clients we serve, at the end of the day, we grow when our clients grow, we succeed when our clients succeed. And so when I look at milestones like that, where we're able to support a brand who shows up on Shark Tank and gets an investment, or they show up on Good Morning America or the Rachel Ray Show, or they've got a huge opportunity to sell, to sell on QVC or something like that. We're there to support them. Like, these are great milestones for the brands. And I think, our history is sort of littered with those success moments.
And can you provide a snapshot of where Whitebox is today in terms of employees, clients, warehouses, and other factors?
We've got just over 200 employees today. And so if you look at our physical footprint across the U.S., we've got 3 main concentrations of those employees. We've got our West Coast Fulfillment Center in Las Vegas, 350,000 square foot, massive fulfillment center, great team there that's, making sure the orders get out and customers, demands are met, and just doing an incredible job there. We have another incredible team just like that in Memphis, Tennessee, another great distribution hub in the U.S., and so a little bit smaller building, but great team that does, quite frankly, a lot of our Amazon work. It's an incredible operation down there. And then we have a pretty massive building in Baltimore as well. And that's really where our headquarters is. And so while 2020 has been a transition year for lots of different companies in how to not return to the office, we've kept our operations running full time as an essential business. We were fortunate enough as of yet not to see any sort of disruption from COVID-19. And, we've got basically the office open right there at that same location. And so account managers, sales folks, marketing, myself, leaders in the operations organization, support, technology, work out of that office too. And so that's really what we look like, across the U.S. And, as we grow into 2021, we're hiring people who aren't located in those places because, we're really growing into a nationwide company.
And so who are some of the brands that are using the Whitebox platform?
Yeah, so there are a lot of really great brands using the Whitebox platform. You've got really 2 different types of brands. You've got what the marketing industry would call a challenger brand, and then you've got some more incumbent type brands that, quite frankly, have been around and selling things in retail stores for a long time. And I think what's the commonality between those 2 brands, and there's not a lot of things, but like the commonality between those 2 brands is they're both trying to be much more direct to consumer focused. And so we sell a lot of products here from a local Baltimore company, McCormick. We sell a lot of different spices, a lot of different food products. And, for them, it gives them an opportunity, yet another channel to market. Again, as consumers are no longer just buying these things off the retail shelves. Companies like Ricola, French's Mustard, it's great big brands you've probably heard of before. And then we got the smaller brands who are growing and are challenging the major brands. One of our great customers is a customer called Super Coffee. They sell a product called Super Coffee. Great, up and coming, fastest growing bottled coffee. It's amazing. It's taking off. A business launched by three brothers who were on Shark Tank and just have an incredible growth period going on right now, going into stores. You've got Roar Organics, again, a beverage company, an electrolyte, powder hydration product. Again, a brand that had a huge opportunity to grow and sell on multiple channels, and they came to Whitebox to help them do that. And then, Chico bag, great bag, reusable bag. With the environmentally conscious, people don't have to get a plastic bag every time they go to a grocery store. Great brand for us. It's a great story, and so there's just so many brands like that you've heard of and have never heard of that are really growing. And I think that's the story of e-commerce today, is that new direct-to-consumer brands are launching, and there's heavy investment in that space right now.
And so what impact has COVID-19 had on the consumer, and can you tie that into, obviously, its impact on Whitebox?
Yes, I sure can. COVID-19 obviously has had a big impact on the globe, the economy, but when you sort of drill down past those effects, it's had pretty much a transformational effect on the way things are bought and sold in the U.S. and in the world, really. You've not only from things like supply chain issues where raw material costs have gone up and products are now more expensive to the end consumer, but you also have situations of being out of stock and not being able to meet the demand. And every day you hear a story of a brand that could sell so much more if they could just get the raw material and manufacturing capability to keep up with it. From a purchaser, consumer perspective, probably every one of us has an anecdote of a friend or a relative who never bought a thing online before, but because of COVID-19 had to. And once you discover the ease or the effectiveness of being able to purchase on a place like Amazon or Walmart.com or Instacart or something like that, it's really hard to go back. And so I think consumers really picked up I would say probably 3 years worth of e-commerce adoption in just 1 year of COVID-19. And, if you look at poll consumers, 53% of North American buyers say the pandemic has changed the way they just buy things and will forever. And so I think you've seen a really big change there. And then on the, almost back to the beginning of the interview, but then the effect on the market, you just have so many more choices. The consumer now has so many more choices where they can purchase something. And that complexity, which is really what we're built for, that complexity gets pushed all onto the brand. If you were at brand moving that bottle of ketchup 20 years ago, all you had to do was put those bottles of ketchup in a case, put all the cases on a pallet, and ship them off to Safeway. Safeway would take care of the distribution, the shelf space, all of those things. That last mile to the consumer. Now you just can't do it that way. You can't send everything in pallets. You got to send everything in a small box, and it's definitely gonna change the way it works, and it was definitely accelerated by COVID-19.
So in October of last year, you closed on a $18 million Series B that included a number of local investors, including Propel, Merkle Global Chairman David Williams, and Millennial Media co-founder Chris Brandenburg. Can you give us an overview of the history of your funding with a little bit of a focus on the local investors?
Yeah, sure. I think that one thing I would say about the Baltimore area, and we talked a little bit about my career and the different companies that I've been to, and there's no doubt about it that the success of my career and in the past and the future has gone through the streets of Baltimore. And when I joined, there was already a great roster of investors from Baltimore. I think Propel Fund and Chris College, who leads that for us and is on our board. Incredible friend, not only to the city, looking to help grow, investment in startup companies, but also just looking to propel Baltimore forward. And so that was a great investor we had locally. Chris Brandenburg, who I had worked with at advertising.com, and who was the founder of Millennial Media, and I worked with there. Again, was already invested in the business, and I think understanding his background, his technology expertise is just amazing. And then so that there was a seed round of $2.6 million that came largely from local investors. As I mentioned earlier, we went around in 2019 and ended up raising a total of $7 million in our Series A in totality. And, that was, again, local investors. Our lead investor there was TDF Ventures, Maryland company based out of the suburbs of DC. But again, local investors, and David Williams, who's also on our board, longtime local CEO and global leader inside of major agency holding companies, has been a great addition to our board, and just another local Maryland person that's looking to find and invest in local companies. And so I think when we did our Series B, a lot of those investors said, yes, I also want to continue to invest here, and we were able to grab ourselves another great investor, although not local, from Atlanta, in Nora Mosley Partners. And so I think Alan Tatel and Elizabeth Fielder joined our board there. And so I think there's a great local nucleus of folks that are really helping us out. And, it's a really great community for that.
So let's talk a little bit about your growth strategy. Are there any new warehouses planned, any target acquisitions? Tell us about, see how you're going to be growing over the next couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think, really 2020 was a really rapid growth opportunity for us, and we grew pretty significantly, almost 5 times as much revenue in 2020 as we did in 2019. And so this next year, while it probably won't be 5x, is going to be a significant multiple of the year before. And so really a lot of that growth in 2020 was about new offerings and new capabilities. And 2021 is about rapid growth with the growth of those capabilities, but really built on the foundation we have, quite actually a machine where we can produce the results that allow us to bring on more customers. And that will translate, I think, to more space opportunity in 2022, where we look to expand maybe another Midwest fulfillment center, maybe more space here in Baltimore. Maybe by that time we're looking at, hey, we really have to go after this next day or same day delivery, and we end up getting micro warehouses in LA and New York. Like, there's a lot of really good opportunities, but I think the largest growth for us this year is going to be driven by our technology. And one of the areas, again, it gets more complicated every year, is brands selling on marketplaces. And we have an incredible data and insights tool called Omnify that we put a lot of investment in, that in one technology platform can give people not only the view of what's happening on Amazon, but what's happening in Shopify and every place else they're selling. And not just here's what's going on with ads, but here's what's going on with ads, and here's my cost to fulfill, and here's my total cost associated with that problem, down to the fulfillment, which really no one else has that type of information available. And so putting that into a platform to drive brands is going to be a huge path for us to growth. So there will be physical growth. We'll probably have a lot more employees by the end of the year. We'll probably be in more spaces by the end of the following year. But I think that really the growth is going to come from us being able to deliver these results for more and more brands on a larger scale.
So is there any part of the Whitebox story that you haven't shared with us?
I think probably the thing that we haven't talked about is, other than sort of bits and pieces, is the caliber of people, the caliber of the team that we've got. We've got a very strong leadership team. We've got a very strong team in all 3 of our fulfillment centers. And, one of our core values is empowering our partners. And we know that if our brands don't succeed, Whitebox won't succeed. And so every day I see someone step out of their role, step out of what their job is to go and make something happen on behalf of a brand or to help out a teammate, or to teach the rest of the company something that they just learned, and they want to share it. And that communication is so important. And so I think if the one thing we didn't touch about Whitebox, it is the caliber and the depth of experience and expertise and the passion that this company has and the teams have. And so I think that's the one thing that I think will drive us to success. And I just don't get to talk as much about how proud I am of that team.
Let's switch gears and talk a little bit about you recently joined the board of the Maryland Food Bank. Tell us about that decision and how you got involved.
Yeah, I joined the Maryland Food Bank. I joined the board of the Maryland Food Bank a couple years ago. And again, Chris Brandenburg, who's on the board of Whitebox, is also on the board of the food bank. And he spent time telling me about the work he's doing. And I think there's very few people that really understand what the food bank does and how vital it is to the food insecure Maryland. Before COVID, 1 out of 9 Marylanders was food insecure. And that's a pretty staggering number of people. During COVID, it went to 1 out of every 3 Marylanders were food insecure. And so it is a vital network that the food bank has of being able to acquire food and then distribute it to its partners who serve those folks on the front line who really need it the most. And so when Chris came to me about the food bank, I had done things and volunteered in Meals on Wheels when I was young and when I was in high school. And so it was an opportunity to help out. And then I also have a military background. And when Chris talked to me that some of the people that the Maryland Food Bank serves are active duty families while their husbands or wives are deployed on behalf of our country, and also they're food insecure, I was like, this is something that I think is worth my time to volunteer and help raise awareness and funds for the food bank. And it's just an incredible organization. And I think my decision to join it, it was driven just by what I think is a need out there, and it is an underserved and it's not well understood how vital the food bank is in our state.
So, Marcus, I want to thank you for joining us today and your important contribution to Maryland and the Baltimore entrepreneurial ecosystem. It's an exciting company and an exciting story. Thank you.
Awesome. Edwin, thank you very much for your time today.